Hello everyone, welcome to an On the Sensors video, and we have a special today. We are doing a quick deck tech with the winner of the Grand Championships, which was held last weekend. As we record, held last weekend down in Birmingham at the UK Games Expo in the UK. We're here with Phil, the winner. Congratulations.
Hi there. Thank you.
Yeah. We also have Rando Mando joining us as well to bring his expert eye for things cast over the deck. All right. Well, Phil, we've not really had much prep about this, so I'm just going to ask you, tell us about your overall experience before we get into your deck.
So the tournament itself?
Yeah.
Oh, it was epic. It was great. We've gone down to the Expo a couple of times in the past, but this time, going down, knowing I was going to go back and reignite the Destiny love I have with the people I used to game with all the time, it was really good. So we drove down obviously from Edinburgh, so it was quite the trek, but we got down there and we spent the first day just having just a mellow out. We checked out some games, but then obviously the tournament itself, got there the next day, fully prepared, and no, it was just great to see everybody. I think that's probably what I take from it the most. It's just going down there, seeing everyone I used to game with across the UK playing Destiny, and got a chance to take part. It was a 6-game Swizz, and then it broke down to top cut. Yeah, and I think going into it, I was a little bit didn't know what to expect because this meta is just so open right now. It's crazy. I actually had a little bit of a break. I don't know if a couple of guys have noticed, but I fell back a little bit because some of the new sets, I just don't know. I think sets maybe 3 and 4 kind of cut me off a little bit guard. I was a little bit unsure about all this extra dice coming into the game. So I thought I'd just sit back for a little bit. Last 2 sets, it just grabbed me, and it feels like playing old Destiny again. So I'm a chatter. I'm gonna go off tangents. I know you were asking about the tournament itself.
No. That's good. Well, I've always known you as a guy that likes control decks. So I guess if loads of people are bringing extra dice, that just makes it harder for you to do your job. You know, people are coming up with E-Web blasters and all sorts of stuff, and I know you like to.
In a way, I think when you get dice so cheaply in Destiny, it's a very powerful mechanic more than a control player likes to be able to manipulate as much dice as possible. But I think when you there's something like BB-8 that can roll in the 2 dice, draw a card, gain money off both those dice. I think those were a little bit daunting at the time for me. But I think it's been recognized, and I actually think things have been dialed back to the point where it's more balanced now. You can see that Tuscan's got hit. We can see that the Jedi Temple Guard are all now on this restricted list. So these dice aren't being so overswarmed on the tabletop, if you know what I mean. Like it's at a moderate amount where it should be. And we're back to that kind of like 2-character Destiny. I don't know if you remember Way of the Force when we had neutral Han, neutral Kira, that kind of Destiny. Like you've got Rey, Neela.
Snoke was Way of the Force as well, which she sort of might be an inspiration for you.
I don't know what it is. They always seem to end up with Snoke.
Well, you were always a Thrawn player. I've played you quite a lot in Scotland in our local scene, and you were always the Thrawn guy. Why didn't you play Thrawn?
That's a good question. So in testing, I think Rando would know, lots of the early decks I was building all resolved around Thrawn. I love Empire War Thrawn particularly. As you said, I had a quite partial liking to some control decks back in the day, namely Thrawn and Unkar, those kind of days. I always loved the ability that Thrawn, no matter what the gameplay was, what was going on at hand, Thrawn always had a way to get around it. You could look at a deck and back in the day, you're looking at Snoke 3 wide, you're like, Vader's Fist in there. But you also could always generally hit mitigation to get your money to ramp up. This time, notably, I chose not to take Thrawn because Gideon, oh my god, is just Thrawn but on roids. Like he's like Thrawn evolved, and he's less points. I don't know if you want me to do a deck tech, but talk about the deck in general. But
we will, we will.
I'll probably elaborate more on that. But when you look at the comparisons between Gideon and Thrawn, just off the dice, Thrawn's got a 2 money. Gideon's got a 1 and a 2 money. So you straight off the bat, you got double the amount of you've got the resource at hand that you can still hit. You've got the ability with Thrawn is you can look at the hand and discard a card if you call the number right and if you hit a target you want to hit, kind of thing. With Gideon, you detect 2, and you can either steal a weapon or a tank. Given that can miss, but you're still getting some hand knowledge from the detect 2. You're getting 2 cards at their hand, and if you miss a weapon or a vehicle, you're most likely stuck with a bit of mitigation or event in their hand. Perfect hand knowledge to go into. And then the best feeling with Gideon is you roll out and you hit that 2 discard as well. So not only have you 2 detected them, you've got that 2 discard, which is just like Thrawn's control. Thrawn was always oppressive because you could roll out, hit a card, and you knew what you're going for. But 2 discard on Gideon, you're doing the same thing. I just think the dice itself on Gideon is just a bit of an upgrade on Thrawn, and the ability is almost what I would say on par. And they've got the same health, and he just loses a point. So, yeah, I left Thrawn to the side this event, and I went for Gideon.
Yeah. Okay. And you paired him with Snoke.
I did, yes.
Was that just for the leadership? A lot of your cards might reference leaders and stuff, but what was the other things with Snoke you wanted to pull into your deck?
He's a value machine. He's an absolute value machine. He rolls an ability notably twice for one damage, which in itself is incredible. Right, we all know the old days of Darth Bane rolling in abilities more than once. Or something. No, sorry, that's like Deathfield. Just say I always think Darth Bane, but Deathfield rolling in twice was always quite oppressive. Vader's Fist rolling in again, it's always oppressive. Snoke just does this on demand for 1 damage, and he's a blue character, and on that reprint list is Rise Again. So even with all this damage coming to him, he can come back. But notably, the big thing on Snoke is he's 13 points and he packs 2 focus sides. That, along with Gideon's 2 focus sides, you can solve any situation on your tabletop when rolling out your dice with that. It's very, very useful for every mechanic, and the abilities right now are in a point where they're quite powerful. If we had Jar-Kai in play, I'd almost say that they're more powerful. So. Maybe some people might disagree with that, but I feel the likes of Ataru Mastery and Uncompromising, notably, are just incredibly credible. Again, in themselves, incredible value, but on top of Snoke, who's rolling that in twice, is just it's insane. So yeah, so basically, I thought, right, well, I've got Gideon here. He's got a lot of money sides, can control the hand, and I've got Snoke here, who's got a lot of focus sides and can roll in abilities more than once. And it felt like straight off that bat, they worked quite well.
Yeah, and then, I mean,
I didn't even mention the fact that if you kill Snoke, he can come back. There's that as well. So he's usually he makes the partner more of a target than he does himself for the same fact that he can come back from the dead. Because he becomes that cloning chamber, which, by the way, isn't exhausted when he does come back. So you can roll those dice in afterwards, even if you do kill him first. So he's got value printed all over him. Very good. Yeah, and he still packs 11 health and the leader subtype. So
yeah. So Rando Mando, do you have any initial thoughts about what you see with the deck before we go through each card and take a look at what role it performs? You got any thoughts, Rando?
It's a very nicely built deck. That's what I got. Everything works very well.
I think there's a big bit of synergy I should really mention before we go into actually breaking down the cards. Is the next bit is that where they connect. So you've got Snoke, who's a value machine, rolling in abilities twice, but then you've also got control coming from Gideon. What makes them perfect together is that when Gideon can steal a weapon out of the opponent's hand, and this is where it gets crazy. If you manage to hit a weapon with Gideon, you can, for the price of 1 to 2 indirect, you can play that on Snoke. Then you've got an override in your hand into Uncompromising or Ataru, which should be your 2 big targets to hit for. You override into that, and you either, if you hit a 3 cost or a 2 cost, you're only spending like 1 money for the override, or 0. Okay, you put those on. Let's say we went Uncompromising. You now have a card when you roll out Snoke can hit the cheapest card in hand and pack the 2 money side. Now this is already without the disruption you've caused with Gideon on the hit. So you roll that out, and you can get to the 2 money side turn 1. Then you can Snoke that back in again, turn that back to the 2 money side. So for the cost of 1, I'm saying retrospectively, let's say you hit a 2 cost weapon. For the cost of 1 resource, you got 4 money out of it, and you've also destroyed one of their weapons out of the override.
Yeah,
And
you're not
really-
giving them anything back at the end of the turn, and there's no downside to Gideon's ability then. Yeah.
Exactly. Then the big thing out of that as well is that an opponent might get smart to it and then fast play their upgrades. They may see like Gideon's got that steel ability, which had cropped up. And if they play their abilities straight off the bat, they're losing all their resources for that turn, which means they're now super narrow on their mitigation, which means Gideon's rollout, the 2 money side, 2 discard, aren't being touched, which means
Yeah.
it's still going to ramp out of that. So
It's
there's
horrible.
a little bit of synergy there that even if you do try and counter the play by getting your weapon down before I do it,
Mm-hmm.
you can bounce it back. And I mean, the main drive for me building this deck is the boogeyman I feel of the set of all Destiny right now, Jarakai. I wanted a deck that could steal the weapons before the Jarakai could come into play and make the use out of them. That was the whole ploy, like, and kind of built on this. And then even if you miss a weapon, let's say you hit a tank, you hit the what is it? The armored assault tank. You hit that.
Mm-hmm.
2 indirect. Let's say you played Atari Mastery, you've been making those shields up with Snoke. 2 indirects, nothing. And and you've got 2 leaders that can roll that dice back in twice. So yeah, basically the main thing was there that they both did something really well, but what made them uniformly good was the fact they unised so well. And
yeah. I mean, when I first looked at your deck, I saw that all of your upgrades cost a lot of money, and I thought, oh my goodness, how's he getting all of that out? And then when you dig into it, you go, okay, well, a lot of his upgrades also have 2 resource sides, and Gideon's 2 resource side, and you're stealing your weapons from your opponent and overwriting, and there's no need for any of these sort of like 1 and 2 costs that you might traditionally ramp up, with your overwrites towards an end game. You can go straight in, turn 1 and 2, and you've got a 4 cost upgrade.
I'll say I played 10 games across the whole tournament, and I would say maybe about 6 to 7 of them I was easily putting down a 3 cost upgrade and a 4 cost 5 of first or tank turn 1.
Wow. Yeah.
The ramp was pretty quick on it. So
yeah.
And
you're also generating quite a lot of shields to be able to take the damage,
That's the beauty of Antaru. So, and compromising is good that he brings the hand control on the ramp. Ataru's kind of doing the same thing because you play it, you get your 2 shields. So you're blocking damage right there. So basically, you would pay for mitigation in that instance. Someone resolves a 2 against you, hits those shields. That's really you paying 1 money to remove a 2 die. So that's basically 1 resource there. But then you can roll that out, make another 2 shields, and then insanely, you can do damage with those shields and keep them. So you can, and then you can ping 1 off and roll it in again. So in the turn of Ataru with a Snoke, you can make 2, 4, 6 shields.
Oh,
and then still do what? If you did it right, you're getting 6 damage out of that too. So
yeah,
that's turn 1.
Basically, you're and there's nothing worse than just pounding your opponent shields and shields and shields, and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, and all the time. Your board presence is increasing, and you're getting more stuff on the table, and your threat is just increasing. And I'm guessing most games didn't last beyond kind of turn 3, really. But I guess we'll go into that. Shall we go through your upgrades then? Well, let's go through your deck. So you've gone Moff Gideon and Snoke, and your battlefield. You had an extra point to spend, so I'm guessing you just chose fortified position to get rid of those shields already.
With a toss up, I was very tempted by lightsaber ignition because there is 4 cents in there with a 3 melee side, and there is Atari with a 2 melee side, just for that one-off spike. But no, I opted just to safe play and take the shield. So
take the shield.
Crucial intel cross your mind with the double uncompromising 2 probes and 2 intel breaches.
It did. You're right. I don't know. I felt like the shield felt more valuable than the action cheat if it did come up. Sometimes those cards miss as well. So in my head, I think I just stuck with just knowing that I can ping 1 shield off Snoke or give Gideon just a bit more shield. I think it's quite intimidating when the opponent takes their battlefield and they realize they've got 3 shields on Gideon turn 1 as well. And then you get it helps with the Ataru special because sometimes they have that 1 shield can give you that trigger to do 3 damage as well. So But yeah, I mean, the action cheat could definitely be invaluable as well if you missed and compromising or those events didn't hit their targets. Is my thinking at the time. But no, that's valid. I can see that being a good call as well.
Your Battlefield Palace of the Jedi, was that just to get an extra dice in early, or
Yeah, move one damage. I think right now it's battlefields are very balanced. So there's a couple of choices out there. I think there's like Empress Throne. You could try and do some sneaky claims on your abilities and stuff. But no, I just felt like just getting another dice in there quite early. It's got a 2 shield sided packs, and you can heal the damage that Snoke does to himself as well. Move it on to someone else. The deck's quite quick in a weird way. It can be quite quick for the claim.
yeah,
So no, I just and then when you got 5-0 first in your deck as well, it's not really a negative if they roll in because you can just steal it right back. Because when you're not rocking fears, your 5-0 first should be rolling out quite early. So you steal it back, and then yeah. So yeah, just because it's a nice generic blue, easy adds, and I like 2 shields and I like moving my 1 damage. So
yeah. I mean, I'm guessing with those character dice, you probably weren't winning most of your rollouts, most of your battlefield.
that's surprising. It was all right.
Yeah.
Gideon's packing a lot of 2s, so he's got the 2 discard and the 2 money and the 2 focus. So it was average. It was average.
Yeah.
The great thing about that deck, because I think you're not really fussed about the battlefield. If they take it, that you get 3 shields on Gideon or 2 on Snoke, whatever the situation you feel like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, you sort of you're not too bothered. Okay, well, let's take a quick look at your deck. Then you have 5 upgrades, a Tara Mastery Emperor, 1 of, Force Retaliation, Force Sense, and Uncompromising, 2 of on each of those, apart from Emperor. Was there much choice? What were the things that didn't make the cut there?
I think they're the best abilities you can get right now. Force Retaliation was a bit of a spicy pick. I didn't only picked that because I mean, in my head I was thinking more of the Repeating Blaster, just because it's the nice redeploy, roll out shots. But then I thought I kind of like the roll in from Snoke, and it kind of gave me Deathfield vibes as well. So it's got the big heavy 4 indirect on that dice. So
yeah.
4 indirect side can be a very clutch late finisher, especially if you're rolling that in twice. So I went that option just because of that. And Atari Uncompromised, I've already gone over. Force Sense is incredible. I think Rando tortured me for a whole evening how good Force Sense is. And I didn't look twice. So it's like, yeah, that's going in. It's just invaluable as a removal. You can override remove. And then when you roll that in and you hit that special, your opponent's kind of like just stuck because that special can remove their dice. It's removal and it can reroll your own. So yeah.
Also not a mastery, so you can run the 2 Force Senses and just so much pressure of free removal you get every round, and then you get to reroll them back in, and basically you get to remove 4 dice for free.
Like I said, he tortured me. Yeah, absolutely. And then Emperor, actually won me a couple of games in the tournament. It's incredible. The Snoke packs that 2 indirect. So you got a 4 indirect side once you've got that down. 3 shields. But the beautiful thing about that is Rise Again. You pay 5 to heal 5, play Emperor. And get 3 shields. So enough said.
Get to it where Snoke would flip, and then you could play Rise Again and then get Emperor and basically get a free Snoke with 3 shields Emperor right off the flip.
Oh, no, I didn't do that. You actually only flipped in 1 game. So, but that's beautiful. So no.
Supports, you went for just 3 supports as well there, but they're all well, you've got the 2 heavy hitters and then the mouse droids. Did they come out much? I mean, you know, I know you're well, yeah, I know you're overwriting a lot of your upgrades and doing damage like that where you're well, I mean, all your supports. We
you look at my supports and my upgrade package, right? And I'll tell you right now, Mouse Droid is the best.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now. Mouse Droid is incredible. When it's in your hand and you've done a lot of your turn, your opponent's gonna done a lot of mitigating, or you've crippled and you're kind of heading some places, and they're like, okay, You got a you got one Snoke dice, and you got the Atari, you can roll it in again. There's not much coming out of it. It's all uncompromising. And then they claim, and then you play your mouse droid, and suddenly that turns to a focus, and you start chaining everything at the end.
Into the two focus, and yeah.
Then it's just next level. The mouse droid is incredible. It's definitely a nice late play, but it can save you in mid-turn as well. Assault tank is just in itself self-explanatory. You got 2 leaders, you're gonna roll in 2 of those. And then 501st was actually my last pick to fit into the deck. I've only swung it in because I was tempering on the idea of Blizzard, because in testing I did make quite a lot of money, but I just figured with Blizzard it kind of locked me in, because like you determine maybe 6 or 7 money, then the next one you're trying to get a little bit more to get the Blizzard. It just feels with my deck it might just like a single disrupt could hold me back. I just wanted to be able to do everything I wanted to do turn 1 and give myself a good platform moving forward for the rest of the turns. So I went for 501st, because if you get that turn 1, your game's pretty good. You're in a good spot if you're making an E-web each turn from there onwards. So I chose 501st over the big Blizzard in that case.
Yeah, okay. And then your events, you got obviously Rise Again as the standout in there. Couple of 2 dice removals, things like that. Probe as well. Could a throwback to your control stuff. Just basically dice removal. Commando.
I think the thing to note there, it's not the best suite of mitigation. It really isn't. I think you can get a better suite, but the reason I've gone with that is just because the mitigation was used maybe a couple of times in some games. You're only going to really use your 2 costs. The balance and doubt really does force protection just in case, like very last minute. But like I find that when you're re-rolling a Taru in twice, or you're crippling their hand enough, their re-rolls aren't happening much.
And your shields are a mitigation as well, so they're sort of soaking up the damage, and
for sense. Like the pack, the command and tribe would definitely be the highlights of that. Like that. Yeah. Force balance of the force is in there because if I only get a few abilities down, I can be behind some decks, especially if I'm chucking down lots of 1 cost for Jarkai. So that's in there just for that kind of idea. But it's still a 1 cost removal. It's that you can remove a dice quite easily to get around, as in like wait for them to have more dice. So and it's got no spot requirement. So no spot requirement is always nice.
Just remove a die. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the spot requirement is having less dice. But...
Yeah. Character spot then. Character spot. I can always play it basically. As long as I'm not dead. And yeah, probe and intel. Intel being that I've got 2 leaders, I can recycle Rise Again. I could recycle an ability I overrid maybe at some point. Because I've got that. You gotta remember Gideon's got that 2 detect. So probe and intel become very good because you sometimes have a tilted advantage on how much how much events have got in their hand. So just like Thrawn. Yeah, and I think Rise Again, obviously, just because Emperor's in my decks.
Times did you pull off the Rise Again?
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's not essential. I think the main point actually I could have pulled it off more. I definitely could have pulled it off more. I think now looking at my deck, I would have happily put 2 in, because there's a couple of games that came down. I could have easily used that. I had like 7 money going into a certain turn, and I was waiting. Basically, I was saving that for like a Rise Again hit, and I would discard my hand and not draw it. So there was turns you could definitely. I think there's definitely space. You could put into this deck to have a second Rise Again. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's you're like at the actual event then. Let's talk about that, man. So like did you expect to do well when you rocked up with this deck? Did you no?
No, I never expected to do well. I'm quite a modest. I'm always, you know me. I'm actually quite a. I don't know if anyone's ever watched my channels on YouTube. I'm quite a casual gamer when it comes down to it. I love finding my random combinations and playing around with it. But no, I was mainly going down to have fun and meet up with everybody and play games again. But and play some classic Red Villain. But it just seemed that when it was weird actually. It's quite funny you say it, because when I was playing it, I got told that you've played that deck a lot, and I only actually played it a couple of times before going down, and I think because the deck synergizes so well with itself, it almost looks like you're a pro at it when you start playing it, because all the re-rolls and the focus slides, the mouse droid plays, it all just seems to meld so well on the other side of the table when it happens. And I think when you rinse and repeat Ataru a couple of times in the game, it does start looking like you know what you're doing with that deck. But no, I didn't expect to go in winning it. Not at all.
Yeah.
I hope to put some pressure on a Jarkai player. Didn't come across one. But
Really? Okay.
nah, not one Jarkai player. And
So
in the best bit, I think Gideon only stole 3 weapons across the whole tournament. So,
right.
there are definitely events there for more ramp in that deck. So the fact that it still managed to pull out good wins despite not hitting those weapons, and yeah, I remember playing Ball, and all I kept saying was, "Fiber Sword, you gotta have a Fiber Sword," and it never hit it. And at the end of the game, she told me there was no Viper Sword.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where your valuable person comes in probably more than you spending your money earlier on your big support. Who did you meet then in round 1? Take us through some of your matches.
All right, so round 1, I played Sarah Evans on Maul Kira. I've had a little bit experience with that deck, not a lot though. It's a really fun mind game, because like in my head when I first played it, I always assumed it was just my hand that had to worry about the difference being, but no, it's their hand as well. So if they're discarding their hand down to 1 and you've still got 4, Maul can hit you with some damage. But I also knew it could ramp pretty effectively too, because it could ping itself. I think mainly I got lucky. I think in that game, I can't remember if I think I got uncompromising quite early on, so I was able to put some pressure on, and I think I managed just to get ahead by turn 2 and take down Maul, going into 3, and I think Kira didn't have enough weapons to close it out. I just got lucky in that aspect that I managed to get into those upgrades and close that one. Game 2 was really exciting. I'm sure the community is very aware of Game Slayer. And I had the joy and pleasure once again to play him in round 2. And as ever, you can never expect what you're going to play when it comes to Game Slayer. It's always off curve. And it was Boba Fett Sunter Fell. And he played a very different tactic against me, which I wasn't used to. Turn 1, he whacked straight out into a command and removed both Gideon's dice. Didn't even give it a chance to see what the dice had rolled. Just went, no, go away. Which is clever. I mean, it's very good because it puts me back straight off the bat, because I haven't hit if I haven't hit an upgrade, which I hadn't done, I'm very unlikely to get ramped that turn. And very much so, I got no ramp. So Snoke got 1 resource. So I basically went into round 2 with free money. And he did the exact same thing. He just went, I think he did Tribe on both of Gideon's dice. So I was, you can imagine, I was like, Doctor, I need a pat of a sweat, sweat towel here. This is tense. And then, but I managed to get an uncompromising down because I had that free money, and that led into some hand control because he played that mitigation on Gideon. I could do my 2 rollouts on uncompromising to get the 2 money stacked up.
Yep.
So I got that stack up. But the big swing in that game was going into round 3. I think I had 1 assault tank down. I rolled up Gideon. He did the plot act. He had the pilot battlefield. Sorry, the pilot battlefield that he could look at my hand, remove a 0 if he fought a pilot, and draw a card.
Colossus.
Right. I think so. Yeah. So he did that turn 1. Best spin. It's best spin, I think. And then he did that 10-1. Whacked the card, but then I rolled out Gideon, and luckily I hit his assault tank. So I had 2 assault tanks in play, and to finish off that round, I had another assault tank in my hand. So I finished the round with 3 assault tanks in play, and I did 28 damage round 3. So yeah, Gideon came back pretty clutch in that game. He might have got rid of the ramp, but the tank stealing kind of made up for it, and the uncompromising putting the pressure on the mitigation. But as ever, Game Slayer plays, it's always exciting playing like what deck he's playing. So it's very exciting to play what he plays. And I think I actually went up to play against him in the final cut, and that got, again, very exciting as well. Did you want me to continue just talking about other games?
Yeah. Let's go through game 3.
Game 3 was Rogue 5. He was playing Obi-Wan Hardeen and Callus. Again, a deck I've not had much play into. I've actually obviously just getting back into this new sets. I haven't played into much of these, but I had heard about how much damage the Callus component of the deck can do coming out of it, and I think when I looked at it, that never really scared me. What really scared me was that plot. There's a plot despice pack that they can steal a detected card, and I swear to you, every turn he hit my 5 first in my hand, sitting there.
Oh no!
So each game, I think each turn of that game, I was again sweating paranoid that he was going to steal that 5 first. So I had to play in a way that he had to keep using his money or pressuring my dice, and luckily, I obviously keeping like a second eye on that plot and what card I had detected. I managed to play around the fact that he didn't get to the 5 first, and I think I got a 5 first down in that game and just closed it out with Ataru. And yeah, managed to get Obi-Wan down just going again, started turn 3. I found that was quite a common theme. Like, turn 3, if I could burn down a character, I was in a very good spot. But no, that was a great game go because it was like detect versus detect because we were detecting 2 cards each. And
So you're 3-0 at this point. You're thinking, I've got a good deck here that's
right, yeah,
going to do some damage. And then who was the rest of the final 3 rounds then?
Round 4. That wasn't
Sorry, man, I'm putting you under pressure here. I know.
No. It's just I should have probably had these notes up. Round 4. I'm just gonna quickly
look as well.
I myself. Sorry. What was it? Went Obi-Wan. I should know this. Oh,
Tom
sorry.
Taylor.
Tom. Yes, of course it was Tom. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was Darth Vader. Of course it was. Oh man, that was a terrifying deck. Every time you see Vader on a tabletop, you're kind of like, oh man, cross the galaxy nightmares coming right back to you. No, so Tom played really good. So I think the big thing in that game was turn 2. I was always hunting that Darth Vader's lightsaber because it hasn't got a spot blue requirement, so I could seal it with Gideon. But I hit his Quinlan, and I think that's one of the few times I actually managed to get a weapon, and that led to a good override turn 2. I think I had uncompromising Anatarian playing that game. And then once again, I think just a certain amount of hound control. I was tolerating. I think Tom had some bad rolls in it as well with Vader. I think as usual, Vader, it can be 50-50 with his rollouts.
Yeah.
But I often find if you can control both his dice in one go, you're doing okay. And plus, with the shield generation coming out of Ataru, it was a good mix, and it managed to basically keep both of them alive pretty efficiently. I don't think he ever got the plot trigger to get his action cheat off either in that game. I think Vader again. I think I got lucky and managed to burn him down round 3. Again, just lucky enough to get the Atari down and stuff like that to do it. So yeah, and then round 5, very well played again by Tom though. It was a nail biter. I think it just came down to being able to control Vader's dice and Tom not hitting the juicy 4s. And then round 5, this is where I got my first loss to the tournament. And
Lando.
It was a nail biter actually. What it came down to was I knew it went into this game, and I felt like out of all of them, I felt this was the most confident one I could probably win.
Tell us what Lando was on.
So he was running Garsaxon with Afra and a massive ping deck of just indirect. And out of all the sources you can imagine, so you got those red villain events that can just throw out 3 indirect. If you could spot a leader and a trooper, you get 2 money back. I can't remember the name of that card, but you got Afra doing pings, you got Afra blowing up droids, then you got that support droid who can bring those droids back, and then you re-ping with Afra. It was a lot of ping to deal with. But in my head, I looked at Snoke and I went, you're 11 health bubble shield in this game then. Because you die, I flip you back, come back next turn. And then I could probably just keep rinsing and repeating that. But the amount of indirect this man could shove at me was incredible. It was like, I think the one turn I put Snoke down, he almost had Gideon dead. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. And I had a 5-0 first down turn 1, and then a 5-0 first down turn 2. So I had, I think at the end of that round, I could have 9 E-webs, but I was on 7. And I think my big misplay going into that round was that we were down to, I think I had 3 health left, the 4 health left on Gideon. And he was racing for a combo. He needed to play like 4 cards to get to the point where he could do another self-destruct on a droid. But I had a couple of rollouts with those E-webs to finish him off. And I think he had, basically, I rolled out each of my E-webs. And all I needed to do as well was to get to a shield side. And he wouldn't have been able to finish me off. And my E-webs would have closed out the game. But I think I rolled out all 7. All missed shields. And none of them rolled a 2 side. I rolled enough 1s to get the kill, but that was when the point he had done the droid blow up, got to his droid blow up card, and we were literally 1 turn each to kill each other. We were going to kill each other just that turn, and he got to it first, and he finished me off. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
it was well deserved.
Those games you don't mind losing, you know, you're so happy to just win to a great story on the table.
Rando Wonka's an amazing guy, and I don't think I've ever had a better game with that man. So he's not allowed to hear that though.
Yeah, give him a big head. And then your last game looks like it was against John. Is that right, John?
Right. Yeah,
Murdoch's.
That's right. Yeah, this is a. I know the synergy would be good, but it took me by surprise just how good it was. It's Suntir Fel and Captain Phasma from the starter set, but it's rocking
I saw that. Yeah, the 2 player start Phasma. That was good to see.
Yeah, definitely. And it got the plot for Armored Reinforcement. So you look at that deck and you're like, I mean, you can see why he's chosen it because they both can pack a free side. He's got a free indirect, and the Phasma's rock could potentially have a free on that special. So and then the damage sides are great, and then Suntir's got shield efficiency from obviously armor reinforcement turn 1. So the armor reinforcement hits the bike. I can't remember the particular name of the bike, but it's the bike that trooper you could you can activate a trooper. So when you activate, so you pilot it with Suntir, then it activates Phasma, so it rolls all its dice in. And then while that trooper dice is in the pool, that bike's +1. And because Suntir's piloting that, he'll get shields off that dice being +1. So it was actually an incredible amount of synergy right there. And then in this game right now, we don't have shoot me down if I got this wrong, but I don't think there's a mass wipeout card other than like Mind Trick these days. And when you chuck 9 dice in the pool with all these upgrades, like it's very efficient at doing what it wants to do. It's a very good build. Because you can really command or power the tribe really these days, or headstrong, you know. So you're only really affecting 2, and this one's chucking 9 at you, like deal with that.
Yeah,
in one go. And then I think that game, it was just good for me because it's one again. So I think I got most of my weapon play overrides from because I think I stole a couple of maybe was it Wii Stars maybe. But I also I think I definitely saw a tank at a point as well because I remember him going, "Of course you did," because I hit the armored assault tank, and we're just like, "Ah, mate, I'm real sorry." Just chance. No, when you've got repeating blasters, Wii Stars, a bike, and I mean, not a shoddy amount of health rolling in straight off from the bat. It's incredibly good. I think Gideon just played quite well into that deck, and I managed again just kind of get ahead. I think he was alpha striking on Gideon in that game, and I'm pretty sure Ataru was saving my butt. Yeah, it really was Ataru actually, because it was saving my butt all over the place because it was just making shields everywhere. So when he did those mass rollouts, I could just hang in there. Even when I mitigate just 2 dice, I could just hang in there because I had the amount of shields from the Ataru mastery playing into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good game again. But yeah, I managed to swing that one by taking out. I think in the first game we played together, I took out Phasma first because in my head 10 health, squishier than 11. So I figured that would just Phasma's quite good as a late. Well, also Faz was quite good as a late closer because of that special. So things are more injured at that point in the game. That special becomes more violent. So I just figured in my head, do the reverse. Um, but yeah, but that did change when it got to the semis. Or the final, should I say.
Yeah, you met him again in the final. The semi was Game Slayer.
That's right. Yeah. Again, just so what Game Slayer's deck's really trying to do here is play the Xandu Blood. Well, it's doing a lot of things because it's Game Slayer, but it's doing one of the key ones. It's doing a Xandu Blood where it can remove its dice to move an upgrade. And what he does is really clever. Is he gifts it, so it rolls its dice into your pool, and then he can again roll it again in his turn. So basically, getting 2 rollouts of that dice where he can just action remove it and move stuff. So basically, he forced the mitigation out of me every turn in that first round because I had to remove the Xandu Blood. The thing I think it helped me a little bit is that he was piloting the Xandu Blood with Suntir, so he would roll Suntir in with it, and obviously he didn't know my deck composition, but like my big removals are command and in the power of the tribe, so it helped that I could remove one of the Suntir dice or upgrade dice alongside the Xandu at the same time. If the Xandu was going in one-on-one, I think it'd be a bit more. I would have, yeah, it could have been a sticky situation because he could just move my Atari on an exhausted Gideon, and then where I've lost an Atari for a round, and that's a 2 rolling Atari as well on Snoke. But yeah, I think much like before, I think Ramp just kind of got me into a good situation with some upgrades. I think this is a reoccurring theme. I keep saying the 2 same free cost upgrades, but because they are just so good. But definitely Force Sense came a lot more play in this game as well because I needed all the remove I could get. He got Emperor down, but I think by that point, yeah, I think he got Emperor down, and I think I managed to close out the game when he shifted over to Boba Fett and kill Boba Fett before he could maximize out of it and then finish off Cynthia. And I think that was round 1. After that, we're done there because I was pretty much closing that one out. But round 2 was so close. I think other than my loss, that was the closest game I had. It was like 2 health on both my characters. But again, I think it was just a matter of, I had Emperor in play in this game, and Rise again helped me out a bit as well. But yeah, I managed to go 2-0 against Game Slayer again. Just being able to luckily control that Xandu Blood and keep my upgrades when they needed to be. Roll out. And I think Gideon did his part as well, because I remember right, there was a couple of 2 discard rollouts in that game. So that's never a good sight. So
did you said that you sort of had dipped in and out of AR8 stuff. There's been sets that you've not played so much, and now you come back in. Do you feel like you always had a good hand on your opponent's deck? Or were there cards that you were not as familiar with, or any surprises that sort of came?
I think I had a good idea of what most decks were rocking. Even when I saw like Game Slayer's really ingenious deck, I had an idea that he was playing Emperor and all that stuff. It was a closer because as soon as I saw that Xandu Blood does, I thought that would be amazing if you can move some heavy upgrades like Emperor and how you play running that. But no, I didn't fill out my depth, if that's what you mean, like against with any of the cards just yet. I think that's the beauty of this set right now. Because we don't have, as back in the day of FFG, I think we had a lot more cards in the pool with each set. A bit more narrow right now, so you can almost assume which cards are in each deck in a way, and each character is designed in such a unique way, but you know how they're playing as well. But so no, it's good. Thanks for the question, but no, I honestly don't. I felt like I was all right. I felt like I knew what decks were trying to accomplish. What I didn't know is if they were packing Jarkai or not.
Wow.
As you can tell, that was my least favorite card.
Well, it sounds like you didn't meet it too much.
No.
And then the final was Murdoch's again, a rematch.
Yeah. I had a keen eye watching that between Lando and him, because I didn't know which one I wanted to face at the final. Because after seeing how powerful the index that Lando could do, I was a bit taken aback by it. But then I realized that John managed to destroy it, or managed to go 2-1 against it. I was like, Oh no, maybe I just got lucky in my first game, and Lord of Hall, I think I did just get lucky because round one of the final I think was a lot clearer win condition than it was the second round, but like the first one, I think Ataru was just so good into his deck to be able to have the shield life coming from those dice, the dice roll-ins was massive. And again, you're living on the repeat blaster life. So I think a couple of times, no fault to John at all. He would roll out those blasters and they would sometimes miss, and that would ensure me a little bit more life because when those things roll 2/2s, they're exceedingly good. And I think he had a couple of bad rollouts in the first game that I could manipulate the dice and get around and get money to do first before he did. But then game two, it was all on Emperor because my upgrade, I didn't get anything with Gideon. My ramp was non-existent, and it all came down. Like he burned me up so much with the die. He killed Gideon. Gideon went down turn beginning turn 3, if I remember right, and Snoke was on like 6 or 7 damage. I was very much on a knife edge, and I think he had both his characters alive at that point. Yeah, he did actually. And what got me the game was I managed to get Rise again on Palp, got Emperor, sorry not Palp, Snoke, and got Emperor, and just closed up the game with a Force Retaliation, Emperor, and if I remember right, maybe Anataru, and that was enough to finish off the 2 characters. I think I had, and then John will hopefully confirm this to me, but I feel like I had 1 health left on Snoke after I pinged myself to roll in. That's how close the second round was, and I had to do it to get the game. But and I think a mouse droid play came down very, very vitally in that game as well. I think it gave me the turns into the max damage I needed to get to. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. But that was a nail bite. I honestly thought that was it. We're going to 3 rounds. He's done it. But no, I just came down to that. So no, it was.
That sounds awesome, man. Like
everyone I played, amazing. Like if you get a chance to come over a game with the UK community down there, or any one of us, like these guys are incredible. I mean, I've played Warhammer, every kind of miniature game you can imagine. I've competed in X-Wing tournaments, Armada tournaments, all this stuff. I have never found a greater community of gamers ever. These guys are amazing. So I've never had so much fun in my life playing a game. So yeah, good shout to everyone out there.
No, definitely. And it's always good as a Scot to go down to a big tournament in England and take the crown home back, isn't it? I remember our friend Scott also went down to the GQ and went 12-0 one time, and took that back. So yeah, I was proud of you. Yeah, you're right. The community here is so good, man. It's so good, and there's still a core of people that have always played there over the past few years. You know, you got like obviously people like John and David Payton and Lando Wonka and Tom and Sarah and Gareth and all these kind of people, and it's just great that everyone is kind of stuck together.
Amazing. I honestly, if anyone's watching this hasn't had a chance to game with these guys, get on a plane and fly over here and play some Destiny with them because you won't regret it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of events over the summer. I'm going to try and go down for one before Gen Con. Yeah,
I think I'm going to hit the GQ in July in Nottingham, so I'm going to definitely make my way down for that.
That's like 2 days before I'm going to go to Gen Con, so that's like 2 days before. I don't think I can make that one, but you know, I'll still be tapping you up to help me make a deck. You can win Gen Con. You can still make it to Gen Con with your deck, and you know, and do a bit of damage there.
Gideon, man. I love Gideon. I've been testing 1 dice Veers with Gideon right now, Elite, and he's just so good. He cancels out the money problem you have with Veers turn 1 because you can steal a weapon and override into a weapon, and he's just so good. I love Gideon. So versatile. And I've not played him with the spy chap yet, the Garridan. That's what everyone seemed to play with him back in the day.
Oh, that's what we used to do. Yeah. No, it's good. We spoiled Gideon. That was an on the censor spoiler when he first came out, and I mean we liked him back then. Probably like most cards, but we didn't really know exactly how powerful he was going to get. You know, it's people like you and Game Slayer and these kind of people that can really theory craft and make a great deck out of these characters. Yeah.
It's just awesome.
I mean, I guess I had one more question then. What did you find most difficult or rewarding, building the deck or playing the deck? You know, what was most difficult for you?
Oh, I probably building. Building was, I think. I know it sounds a bit weird, but like I think finding those last few cards, like the 501st Net, finding those last little the mitigation suite as well. You get very tempted by other cards, but I feel like you just have to go plain and simple and rely on those upgrades doing most of your work. And I think it took me a little while to realize that because I was sticking in some like heavy mitigation in this deck to start off with because I felt like I'm not got the heaviest damage size on these two characters. I'm relying on upgrades and supports, which is usually not the best thing because you want to have some extra damage coming from your character dice just to give you a bit more swing and pressure on the opponent, but I don't have any of that. So yeah, I think composition was the big thing because I decided, no, you know what? Let's just go to the wall. I'm gonna just rely on my Force Sense, my Taru, and hope that I can cripple the hand enough that there's not enough rerolls in the day to like maximize the damage.
Back at you. Yeah.
Because I think when you play it, anyone give it a go because once you start playing it, you just start seeing it. It's like the Matrix. All the digits start.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, right, I've got this focus. I've got this mouse droid in my hand. Whack, boom. Let's go to focus. Special. Reroll in. And it's not. You're not really. It's quite fun because it's not the easiest deck to pilot, but when you get it, it's like I said, you're reading the Matrix. So
it's just smooth. It just all works. It's like a Rolls Royce or something. It's just like beautiful. Yeah.
Like playing chaining without special chaining. It's great.
Rando Mando, do you have any final questions before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. Yeah.
No. All right. Cool.
I'll shoot him a big thanks though, because we did some testing into each other, and he definitely put me in some right direction. So thank you very much, Rando.
Oh, still up for a webcam game.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm gonna when I get back from this job in Paris, I still got the sticker up display of power. I'm gonna sticker up that and then get on the webcam games. I ordered from Laser Gaming. They put their order up for the new set Resurgence, and I'm ashamed of myself, but I ordered the stickers and the dice and the cards. I ordered the pre-stickered option as well, just because I'm like, they're doing a pre-stickered option.
I'm so tempted by that too.
I just like some people find it
better than me. Every time I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, my one's kind of squint. But every time I get dead nice, they're perfect. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what I went for. I thought I'm if I'm going to play on web camera, I need the willpower to do all the stickering, and I can do one set, but two sets is just enough. Too much for me. Anyway, yeah. All right, cool. Well, look forward to playing you on webcam at some point, and I'll come over to Edinburgh and we'll play a game or two in real life.
Anyone's welcome. Just give me a shout if you're nearby Edinburgh. And just before we all check out, I just want to say again, a special thanks to the Echo Base guys and everyone in the community, continuing committee to working on this game. It's a fantastic game, and honestly, there's a reason we all have giant piles of dice in these rooms. I can't thank you enough for your time and effort. It's great. So thank you.
Yeah, man. Well said. Well said. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Out of Phil's, deck tech and
Mario Mastery and uncompromising. We might go
give it a try. You have and Ecobase have put it on the DB, so it's free for anyone to play. Give it a spin, and hope it goes okay. All right, Phil. Well, I'll wrap it up, and I will say goodbye. And thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to Rando Mando as well, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Take care. Cheers.
Take care. Bye now.